And here we go. What is up, Facebook Live? Today with me, we have a very special guest, Mr. Jason Williford. So a little bit about Jason. So in 2017, his team sold over 500, that is 550 homes, 136 million in volume, 4.6 million in GCI. So he was also they were voted one of the 355 fastest growing privately owned companies. And on top of that, Jason, where are you at right now? Because I know that's one thing all the viewers are going to be asking.
I'm in the beautiful Destin, Florida, with pretty much the prettiest beaches that I've seen anywhere. The white sandy beaches you can see out there. They call it, if you've never been here, it's a beautiful place. The emerald water. April. There's no June grass out, so no seaweed. So it's just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, no, it looks absolutely beautiful over there. So when I reached out to you about this topic too, you gave me a couple different topics, and I mean, from what I've known that you've been able to do, growing this mega team is something that I've always wanted to learn more about what you have going on. And it just so happened that you guys were writing a book about it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what you guys have going on over there?
Yeah, I wanted to start out that it's not just me, that I do have a great partner, Tracy Cousineau, and I do have a great team behind us as well. Not behind us, but with us. Kind of funny about using that verbiage that, our people don't work for us, they work with us. So the book, Building a Mega Team, it's actually a series within a series. The title is Inside Secrets of an Inc. 500 Real Estate Team. The subtitle is Building a Mega Team. We've been working on that book. That book should launch within the next 90 days or so. So we've been knocking it out, and that's what you and I were speaking about before we hopped on. That it's the amount of when you're doing something like that, it's the amount of research that you do about your own business that you really uncover some golden nuggets about your business. So, I'm more of the strategic one of the two. Tracy's a massive. We're both massive marketers. That's the number one thing that we fell in love with through the years is marketing. But I love strategy and business strategy as well.
Yeah, I know that's that's something that yesterday when we had Jay on, that's what he was talking about. He's like, man, I was always good at what I did, but until I started figuring out why I was good at it and the principles behind it, that I really started uncovering some things. So I'm sure that's like what you were referring to right there.
Yeah.
So I know personally, because I have a little bit of experience in the call center world as well, and kind of dealing with a lot of agents, and I was always the one talking to a lot of people. And building and sustaining a team is by far one of the biggest hardships that they go through. So, and you guys have it seems like you guys have been able to absolutely master that. So what are some of the key elements and key contributors to you guys' success at growing and sustaining this mega team?
Some of the key golden nuggets is, as Jay likes to say, it's always growing, it's always learning. It's investing back in yourself. Tracy and I, we spent, I guess, a little over $300,000 in the past 6 years in learning. So that's one thing that we will never tell you is that, we know it all. We're always looking to, if you want to be the best, you got to seek the best. So that's the number one key thing is, growing, which is spinning into modeling as well. If you're going to seek the best, I don't want to try to learn the hard way, and I don't have to innovate. I don't have to be the number one innovator. I think Russell Brunson says, the pioneer gets the axe in the back. So, so basically becoming, a master modeler, and and that's really not being a copycat, but just the little pieces inside of your business. Hey, who's doing that one little piece really great? And how do I model it? And where our successes came from is not modeling people in our industry. It came Jay Abraham's style of, looking outside of our industry and modeling things that are working in other industries. And even speaking with John Kitchens. I can't remember where we're at, when it happened. It was somewhere recently, last 3 to 6 months. But we're in a car ride. I think we're in Dallas actually.
Yeah.
But I was like, hey, when I'm at Disney World, I'm not just looking at I'm not just looking at the rides. I'm looking at it
Yeah.
from business model standpoints of processes, procedures, how the lines are moving, experiences that they're delivering. And he said, hey, I got it too. It's a sickness. I love
It's
my
a sick.
sickness, but
Yeah.
same thing with a Chick-fil-A line, or I want to model companies like that, like Ritz-Carlton, Disney, just to name a couple of them.
Yeah. So no, that's an interesting concept, and that's something that I've been hearing a lot more of recently too. Is that the market disruptors come from outside the business. If you want to figure out how to run a successful business, a lot of time look outwards instead of just inwards. So
just in Atlanta, our market, I think there's around 50,000 licensed real estate agents in Georgia, with many of those being grouped into Metro Atlanta. If you're going to be a commodity if you're trying to do the same thing that everybody else is doing. Especially in an industry where, in 2013, there was a study done, and it was based on consumer trust. How many people trust real estate agents? And the facts were 67% of consumers did not trust real estate agents. And of millennials, it was something like 72, 73%. What is differentiation? It's really an innovation. Innovation is just adding value where it currently doesn't exist in an industry. So, that's what we enjoy doing. We love adding value. We love bringing differentiation. We love bringing innovation. Hopefully that answers your question there.
Oh, no, definitely. You answered it and then some. So I also want to touch on the fact that you said you have over 50,000 agents just in your area. So what are some of the ways that you guys have been able to maintain your excellence, you could say, and like the team that you're growing and kind of keep growing it from there?
Yeah, I guess excellence, I will never say that we've arrived, ever.
Okay.
We are always getting better. I'm not sure if I would say, hey, we're excellent, because, my standard of excellence is not the same as everybody else's standard. And, that's what it really comes down to, is raising the standard. I like to go back in my own head of, in our earlier days when it was just Tracy and I. Tracy actually, I started out in 100% commission sales in 1999. I've been in over 12,000 face-to-face appointments, face-to-face, belly-to-belly in other industries. The downturn back in 2008, it affected me especially. It wasn't just the downturn; it was my head more than anything. My mindset at the time also got disrupted. But Tracy had been in real estate since 1999, property management before that. So just going back to the earlier days of, when she and I grouped together, we partnered up. She had already been in the real estate game. I was coming from another industry, and I think that's where, things that we currently do in business now, I took from other industries and put into this industry. Like you mentioned, call centers. First time I was around an ISA was back in 19. Not an ISA. It was actually a telemarketer. Back in 1999, we called him Lurch, and he knew his name was Lurch. He was a skinny guy, tall guy. But anyway, I think the Munsters is maybe where Lurch came from. An old school TV show. But anyway, he was in a closet, in a utility closet. Dude was
really.
I mean, he was making the dials. 10-line dialer. Setting up appointments was his goal. Then I went on to the second largest remodeling company in America, and just for one location, we had 20 to 25 telemarketers on the phone. We had 25 canvassers out there knocking the doors. A couple $100,000 a month in TV, radio advertising. Back in the day, Yellow Pages and all that. So, that was stuff that, again, I didn't create. We have 10-step, very predictable, duplicable sales system that we operate on, where if you take the right steps in the right order, you'll get exponential results. But if you take even the right steps and you put them in the wrong order, it can be catastrophic. But that wasn't anything I created. That's something from other industries that's been up at least since the 60s, if not, way before that. So I guess that's a big thing, for your group, the 30 under, the under 30 group that you have is, you don't have to create everything. The principles, they don't change. A lot of the principles don't change. The mediums in which they're delivered, just like us being on Facebook Live, that stuff changes. But sorry for my rambling, and sorry for my ADHD disclosure as well. So.
No, that brings up a good point. So we're here with the Young and Hungry, which is powered by Content Cards. That's contentcards.com. But what you're referring to is this Agents Under 30 group. So a big reason that we started this was actually where we met in Key West, I believe, for the first time. Yeah. And I was there with Braden, and we were there with, I believe we're the only young agents there, my brother as well. There's a couple other there that were around our age, but we realized that there's not really any masterminds for agents around our age. And whether it was because like not having the money to get into the mastermind, or maybe you're just a little nervous, maybe you thought that the same principles don't apply to you. But that's one thing I will say, being around a group like you guys, I realized I didn't have to do it all from scratch. Yeah. None of us here had to start over and figure out a new way of doing it. It's already been done, and we just had to model some of you guys. Yeah. So, and I appreciate like you guys hopping on lives like this and sharing all of this value. Yeah. So is there something that you learn
from you guys too, without a doubt? Y'all doing great things. I love it.
No, I definitely appreciate that. And like I said, with you guys, and so you keep saying about bringing things from another industry. So you talked a little about an ISA. What was something else that you brought from another industry successfully and implemented in your guys' team structure?
Predictable sales systems. That's my wheelhouse. We have a 10-step sales system. Once we're face to face. So basically, being on, and I'm listening to the new book by David Goggins, Can't Hurt Me. And that's he's talking about is what I talk about probably till our agents are tired of, which is repetition. Repetition is the mother of skill. If you want to get better at any skill set, you have to do it over and over and over and over again. And I've said that for years, and it's just great hearing coming from a Navy SEAL that, hey, how do you get better? It's all in the repetition, baby. Just like this video. I'm an introvert by nature. I don't like having my picture taken, videos, all that stuff. But hey, if you want to get better at it, you got to do it more and do it again. Do it again.
You could have fooled me, man. You seem like a natural on here.
Well, not really. But that's one thing that it's about everybody being on the same page, and a piece of our 10-step sales system. Jay Kender, Braden's dad, actually, Jay and Mike, put in a lot of work to come up with that piece. And for us, that's step number 5 in the buyer side presentation, which we have another 10-step system, which is the listing side of the presentation. But that helps with differentiation, helps with building value. But it's about having all agents on the same process, the same exact system. That way, if you were going to a listing appointment, if Braden was going to a listing appointment, no matter who's going, the consumer's getting almost the same education. Because, if you want to be an expert, how do you become an expert? You become an expert by educating the consumer. And that's just what we believe in, as people's biggest investment. So we owe it to these people to educate them proactively. I fell in love with setting expectations in everything in life, but expectations without agreement from our friend, Dan Bunch, is nothing more than a dream. But I fell in love with setting expectation with a consumer, being proactive than reactive. Fell in love with setting expectations with our agents, even from the interviewing and the hiring process. Um, Anything in life. Just getting better and better at that as well.
Yeah, no, I think you bring up a great point of making sure all the agents are on the same page, that you're able to articulate the same value that your company brings. So how often do you guys train with your agents, or how often do you say you should be training with your agents to achieve that same unison message to send out?
Yeah, I believe in immersion, and it's what immersion is. First time, the best way, and he probably didn't come up with it, Tony Robbins, but he described it the best to me, where it really sunk in. Immersion is if you and I wanted to go learn to become better at golf. We have a choice. First thing you and I would do, because we're learners and we know we don't know it all, is we're going to go hire the best freaking coach that we possibly can. But the difference in immersion is rather than taking one class once a week, over a year, hopefully you and I are going to be a little bit better at golf. Which I'm a horrible golfer, but
so am I. So maybe we should do that.
But we're going to be better, right? It's what immersion is. Immersion is taking time and collapsing time, taking that 52 weeks. And hey, here's what I'm going to do, Nick. I'm going to take off a full week of work. I'm actually going to take off a full week of my family as well. And it's to benefit my family. So it's not that I don't want to be around them, but I'm going to take that week off, and I'm going to get better, significantly better within that first week. So what is our initial boot camp, just on the buyer side, which is where we start everybody out at, because a seller's favorite word is buyer. And if you don't understand the buyer side of the process, you really can't be with a seller just yet. This is my theory, my own personal opinion. Some may not like to hear that, but it is what it is. But the first week is 40 hours 44 hours in the classroom. Then it's another 25 to 30 hours at home. And I laid that down too. And who laid it down to me was my personal trainer a couple of years ago. Was like, I gained 45 pounds. I was 45 pounds overweight, and enough was enough. And I drew the line in the sand. It's like, hey, I'm getting fat as heck. So I went and I hired the best coach. The best coach is $1,300 a month just to get my habits back in place. And he said, Jason, I got you while you're in here. But I can't be there when you want to take a midnight snack, when you're at dinner and you're making your choices on what you're going to eat. So I let the agents know that too, is that that first day of that boot camp, actually in the interviewing process, that, hey, some people put in the work and some people aren't going to put the work in. And the ones that, and it's just funny how it works, the ones that go home and study the crap out of the material and memorization, practice, drilling, rehearsing over and over and over, those are the ones that freaking have exponential success. And just being honest with you, the ones that don't do it, or the ones that don't believe, they're the ones that don't make it. Yeah.
I think that goes back to an interesting concept again in that trip in Key West that was being discussed is, are you interested or are you committed?
Absolutely.
Right? And that's something that comes back to the same thing with this Young and Hungry group. And I believe I was talking to Steve Freeman on here. He said, man, being a young agent, the things you have to do are simple. It's not easy, but the concepts are simple. And if you look hard enough, you'll find them, and they're right in front of you. And you just have to go back and do them, pound it out like the repetition you were saying. So I want to bring it back a little bit.
Do the work. Put the work in. Everybody wants to be a lion, but nobody wants to do or not everybody. A lot of folks don't want to do what the lion has to do, to survive. But it's got to put in the work, really.
Right. So I want to bring it back to a little bit what you were talking about before, about when you and Tracy were still kind of in the producing stage. So I know a lot of people are stuck in between. I want to build a team, but I still need to produce. So what kind of advice would you give to that person that wants to build a team but just can't seem to get out of production?
Yeah. I'll go into a mistake that you can easily make, one that we made, and that's hiring a buyer agent too soon.
Yeah. So
And
what would be
when I
the
say
right
about-
time to hire that buyer agent?
What's that?
When would be the right time to hire that buyer agent?
Before I go into that, I want to go into
Okay.
you know, how we did it, but also, you know, hey, if we had it do over again, how would we do it the next time?
Right.
And the buyer agent would, starting out with the buyer agent would be one of the last hires. And the reason why, you know, you're talking about, you know, building a sustainable business, one that's potentially exitable, you know, or sellable down the road. And that should be the goal of any business. You know, if you don't have the exit game, you don't have a business, you have a job. And my first hire now would be a rock star admin. Actually, I take that back. My first hire would be an ISA.
Yeah.
Because honestly, do I love jamming out those phone calls for 3 hours, 4 hours, 8 hours a day? I honestly don't. I can.
Yeah.
I'm really good at it. Not in a braggy way, just I can do
Yeah.
it. But on the other end of the stick, it'd be an inside sales agent to keep you in the number one highest dollar producing activity that a real estate agent can be in, which is in a face-to-face listing appointment. So that's, you know, where I want to be. No differently than a surgeon. A surgeon doesn't do all the prep work, doesn't you know, get all the instruments ready.
That's a good analogy.
Somebody else is doing all that stuff, and he's going in and doing what he needs to do, and then he's out.
Yeah.
So that's the very first hire I'd make. Then a rock star admin would be the next hire to take all that stuff off my plate that, you know, I'm really not the best at doing. And honestly, you know, that's one thing that I've came to grips with myself is I'm really not good at too many things. There's just a couple of things that I'm exceptional at. But most times you find other people are better at other skill sets that you can't stand doing, or maybe you aren't the best at. So I'd hire someone. Would be my second hire. Would be, you know, an admin. Then maybe the third hire would be the buyer agent. And I take that back. My last hire, if I had to do it over again, my last hire would not be a buyer agent. The last hire would be a listing agent.
Okay.
Yeah. And the same thing, growing the mega team. That's going to be in the book as well.
Right.
You know, it's not just going to be a book on how we did it. It's also going to be on a book on, you know, how to do it again. I mean, if we have to do it over again, you know, what are some hard lessons learned? Some of those lessons that's going to be in the book, you know, or cost us hundreds of thousands of dollars along the way. Hundreds of thousands of dollars, which is, you know, it's an expense of doing business. You know, it's just, you know, risk versus reward. You know, you're going to have risk, you know, in growing any business.
So with that being said, I think that's a great concept that you have there about like what order should you hire people and when you should hire them. So if you can go back and give yourself that one piece of advice, what would that be? Would it be about hiring a buyer's agent, or what else would you be able to tell yourself?
And I'm saying that not knocking buyer agents either. I'm saying that because I want to always be looking at the person on the other side of the desk when I'm interviewing, because it's their family involved in the process. Not just them, it's their family as well. Which our first buyer agent, in about 3 months, she netted about $12,000 in a month. More than she's ever made in her life. And I'm not saying it was all us. You know, she's the one that put the work in. You know, we helped her get there. But she put the work in. Come again with your question. The ADHD got me.
Yeah, no problem. So if you could go back in time to young Jason, young Tracy, you're out there, you're starting your new team. What would you tell yourself? What would be that one piece of advice that you think would be able to launch you guys to success a lot quicker?
I would learn quicker to not be afraid of failure. And even if I was going back to my 15-year-old self, and I was telling my 15-year-old self, because I think a
Yeah.
lot of people get locked down with they're afraid of failing. Where that's one thing, through the years, I've learned to embrace failure, but I want to fail often, but also I want to fail fast, because there's nothing like going in the wrong direction for too long as well. So fail often, fail fast would be, what I would go, back to, and I
Right.
would have hired a great coach a little sooner as well too. So that's probably the two pieces of advice I would go back and tell myself.
Yeah, and something that I see on your guys' website all the time, speaking to you, speaking to a lot of people in our circle as well, a big part of your guys' culture seems to be core values. So can you speak about like the importance of those, and maybe even give me an example of when you guys stuck to your core values and it paid off?
Okay. That's another thing that we learned along the way is, having, and really something that we need to revisit, which you probably should, revisit your core values once a year anyway, and see, to see if they change. And it shouldn't just be about, hey, what are the core values to me? It should be about what's the core values to the group, and making sure that everybody aligns with your core values straight from the interviewing process. And there's strategic questions that you can ask, which John Kitchens, I think it was Team Player, that book Team Player that he introduced. But there's great questions in that, even in the interviewing process, to make sure that folks align with your core values. Because how many apples does it take to ruin a bunch? One. It only takes one rotten apple to ruin a bunch.
Yeah.
And that's a mistake that we've made. And one thing I'm not going to do is say that, hey, these were bad people that we had on our team. It was, and it's okay, we're all different humans, but they weren't, they slid through the process where they didn't align with the core values. You have to hire by your core values, but you also have to let go by your core values. Probably one of my favorite core values personally is no negativity and no gossip. It's one of our core values.
I love it. Go ahead.
I kind of want to change even the wording of it, because it sounds negative to something like all positive, all positive environment or so. But that's one of my favorite core values, because Tracy and I have been in other places before, and it was kind of like a gossipy type environment, and it's not good. One of the team favorites is work hard, play hard. We enjoy working hard, and it's kind of become an overused work hard, play hard, but we enjoy working hard, and we do. 7 days a week I work, 365 days a year. I don't get away from it.
As you're on vacation here,
but you play hard too. And I guess to answer your question, going into when did work hard, play hard pay off? I did an interview that we haven't released yet with one of our top producers, Mimi Schlinker. This year she'll sell probably about 14, 15 million by herself. Then she has one buyer agent, about 20 buyer agent / listing agent, excuse me. They'll sell about 25 million just with both of them. But she said that she talks about the time in that interview that where I prescribed her a vacation. She had like a bad patch where she, and things happen in streaks in this business. She had like that week about 5 or 6 transactions that terminated. I was like, Mimi, it's going to be all good because you're going to put them back together, right? Yeah. But she was just stressed out. She was frustrating. And I was like, hey, look, we got these folks that you're working with. You have to go somewhere. That's what you have to do. We're making you go on vacation, take your family, get away. Because real estate, it looks really easy from the outside. But folks don't see from the outside all of the daily bombshells and fires that you had to put out. And it is, emotional. It's people's biggest investment. So
Yeah.
emotional, all those emotions come out through that piece. And one thing that we don't promise people is that, hey, we can eliminate all the stress, because that would be bullshit. There is no way to eliminate all the stress. We can minimize with having the right systems in place, the right people in place, the right client experience in place. Um, but you have to, you have to get away. So that, to answer your question, that's the one relating it back to real life that comes to mind.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that, prescribing the vacation, because that's something that Al had to do with me the one time. He noticed that I was stressed out. I don't think I took a vacation in over 2 years at that point. At one point, I drove down with my family to visit my brother in North Carolina after work on Friday, and then flew back early Monday just so I didn't miss work. And he's like, man, you need a week off. We're going to Putin Bay in a couple months, or in about a month. He's like, you're going with us. Not even a question. So no, that was probably one of the best. That is exactly what I needed, was just kind of that time away from it.
Have you ever heard of Iacocca?
I have not.
He was, I believe, the CEO of, I believe it was Chrysler. But he fired one of his top executives one time because the top executive came to him and said, hey, I worked really hard this year, Mr. Iacocca, and I worked so hard that I didn't even take a family vacation, with my family this year.
Yeah.
And anyway, he fired him because he said that if you could not manage your time well enough to spend 1 week with your family, and he let him go because of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a very interesting concept, because I mean that does make sense. If you can't manage your time and your own priorities, how can you manage the company's priorities?
Yeah.
No, I think that was great. But Jason, no, I definitely appreciate you coming on here and talking about this. I know you have that book coming out. I can't wait for the book to come out, because I know I'll be the first one in line to go out there and grab it. Do you have anything closing off here? Any closing ideas or thoughts about growing this mega team?
Well, oh, yes, I do. And
yes, love it.
We're having an event April the 11th. It's going to be a Facebook Live within our page, Mega Agent Success Secrets, and bringing a gentleman onto that page that I never thought that I would be able to do, and that I'd never be able to do an interview with. The gentleman wrote a book called The Closer, he edited and tweaked the book called The Closers. He's known as one of the best master trainer of sales in the world, period, and has been for about the last 40 years. He's worked hand in hand. He was Napoleon Hill that wrote the book, that wrote the book Think and Grow Rich. He was Napoleon Hill's last protege, being that he worked directly with Napoleon Hill. He also worked directly with Zig Ziglar, if you've ever heard of Zig Ziglar. So he's been, and that's just 2 of them. There's probably 10 to 12 that, of the old school, and he has, like, his story will blow your mind. But I just wanted to, that is the advice that I can give folks is, keeping on learning, coaching, with your group. Also, a mistake that people can make is, not listening to the old school, because it's not. Hey, this dude's older than us. But this wisdom, it's like getting wisdom from your grandfather. Your great grandfather. That's known as one of the best in the world, period. But some of these stories that he has to tell are flat out, like, again, it'll blow your mind. So that's my suggestion is, if you wouldn't mind, going to our page, liking Mega Agent Success Secrets. And April the 11th is the date, and it'll be at 3 o'clock. His name is Ben Gay III. And he, The Closers is the name of the book. Book, that's one mistake that I made for years. Not the mistake in that book, but in 1999, that book in vacation ownership, it was the book to have. It was then in the remodeling industry. It was the book to have. So the mistake that I'm saying is I didn't open my mind up into other, that was just based on sales, into other books is what I should have done more of. But that book is it's my #1 sales book of all time. Number 2 would be The Ultimate Sales Machine by Chet Holmes. But go get you some value. Go eat. But we
watch this live. Get some value.
Yeah.
So remember, guys. Speaking of book,
he'll be Tracy and I on that Facebook Live April 11th at 3 p.m. Eastern.
So yeah, April 11th, Mega Agent Success Secrets. We're gonna drop that link in the comments below right after we get off here. Make sure that you get there on April 11th. I know I'll be there. So no, Jason, again, I appreciate your time coming here, especially since you're on vacation there. It looks absolutely beautiful. So again, guys, this was brought to you by the Young and Hungry. Have fun doing it. Powered by Content Cards. It's contentcards.z.com. Jason, enjoy the rest of your vacation. Thanks for coming on. And let's remember, guys, drop that link, click it below, like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, brother.